welcome to another edition of Truth 360 by Black Dress Collaborative. We are here in the studio at WLVSlive.com to have another fabulous show. And today, we're going to be talking about girls, gigabytes, and gadgets. I am your host, Holly Holiday, soon to be joined by my lovely co-host, Jennifer Jones, who's en route. If you have not been a part of this winter storm, then you don't know how nasty and ugly it is outside, but we are battling our way to make sure that we can bring you a quality show as usual. And today in the studio, I have Waikinya Clanton. How are you?
Hi, Holly Holiday. How are you?
And I'm going to introduce her in just a minute, but I just want to remind our listening audience that Truth 360 is brought to you by Black Dress Collaborative, and that it's a high-energy weekly interview, debate, and commentary talk show that uses passion, music, and humor, along with an engaging mix of conversation to bring you the truth. And you can be a part of our conversation by following us on Twitter or Facebook at Truth360 by BDC, or sending us an email at Truth360@blackdresscollaborative.com, or texting us at Truth360 to 40691. Okay, those are all the ways you can find us, and I hope that you do. Meanwhile, we got to get into this conversation. So, I was so excited, and it's, usually this is the time that we talk about hot topics, but this is a hot topic.
Yeah, it is.
This is a hot topic. So, Waikinya Clanton is the National Executive Director for the N.O.B.E.L, which stands for the National Organization of Black Elected Legislator Women.
Yes.
Yes. So, we like to hold it down for the females. And we actually had a state legislator and one of your newer members, Gail McCann-Beatty, on last week talking about the role of the special prosecutor. And so now we have you here talking about girls, gigabytes, and gadgets. And I have to ask straight off the top, first of all, tell us about N.O.B.E.L and what it is and who they are.
Well, thank you so much, Holly. N.O.B.E.L is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization. It is composed of more than 250 Black women legislators.
See, so that's what I'm talking about.
I mean, we represent 40 of the 50 United States.
Okay, I was going to ask how many states we got.
We got, most of the map. Most of the map.
We got 10 we got to work on.
We got 10. We're trying to put our foot in.
Put our foot in there.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
right,
I mean, and we have an approach for that, too. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Absolutely. So Jennifer has walked in the studio. Don't get mad. I told y'all we were saving the seat for her. It's the weather. She's going to get comfortable and get right on in on the beginning of this conversation. Because trust me, as a scientist, she has a lot to say about this.
Yes. We welcome you.
So share with me, so N.O.B.E.L, when I think of that, I think of government and public policy and public service. I don't think of science. How did you get into the girls' gadgets and gigabytes? How did that come around from an organization such as yours?
Well, at Nobel Women, we're very forward thinking.
Okay.
So we don't, even though this group is a group of legislators, this group in particular realizes that you can't have conversations about policy and making decisions about technology without being inclusive of the people who use it the most.
Right.
And, statistically, Black women, but particularly young Black women, are using social media, technology, the internet itself at astronomical rates. We are on it all the time, but we're not just on it just for social reasons. We're on there to find jobs and do educational searches. And so we know that there's a concentration there. Anytime there's a user relationship, there's also opportunities for us to kind of groom and cultivate some women there. And so we want to start with our girls ages 8 to 18, introducing them to careers in STEM. And we're not just focusing on the development side or just the engineering side per se, but we're also looking at the other sciences as well. We're also looking at lobbying and law and PR. We're really doing a holistic approach to
like
this.
Everything that supports science, and technology, mathematics, engineering,
as well as social responsibility. Okay. You know, it was really, really important to our legislators that we talked about safety. Right. You know, the safe use of social media and the internet, particularly for our young girls. You know, human trafficking is a big issue in our community, and so we want to make sure that our girls, when we're out here using this technology, that they know how to be responsible with it, but they also know how to use it to create capital. We're trying to build young women rulers in this world, so that's what we're really focusing on.
Lot happening.
Yeah.
So, tell me about the day. So walk me through the day. You said girls 8 to 18. That just seems like a huge population of people. Walk me through what a girl 8 to 18 can expect to find when they show up for Girls Gigabytes and Gadgets.
Yes. So the day will start like any other day in the life of Nobel-Women. We're gonna open it up.
Oh Lord.
We're gonna open it up with all seriousness. Honestly, we'll have welcoming remarks from our president, Representative Laura Hall of Alabama. We'll do some program overview so the girls really understand why they're there. We're gonna have some of our program partners to come in and do some communications with them. We have this part that's called Tech Testimonials. So it's where like not only just our legislators, but also some of our parties can talk about how they got involved in this. Like, how do they use tech in their daily lives, how it affects them, and really give the girls an introduction to what this technology really looks like. You know, so often our girls get caught up in just Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, but they don't even think about, well, how can I use these things proactively or responsibly in this? And that's really what we're going to be teaching. We have a social responsibility challenge that's going to be met, but that's going to be issued by one of our partners on the event. It's really going to focus around anti-bullying, not texting and driving for some of our older girls, younger girls with the bullying. So we're bringing it full circle. I know it's like a big age gap there, but I think we have programming that's going to be really geared towards each age level there, and we're looking forward to it being a really, really fun and innovative day. They have workshops on coding, so some of our younger girls are going to work with some of our partners over at Code for Progress on how to make a robot make a peanut butter jelly sandwich. Like, it's really fun, innovative stuff.
That's what I need. I need a robot that knows how to make a peanut butter jelly sandwich. I could have used that yesterday when I was stuck at home because unlike my lovely co-host who is a master chef, I am need to be on that Chef Less show, Worst Cooks in America, Food Challenge, exactly. That would definitely be me. So you mentioned your partners. Who are some of your partners?
Oh gosh, we partner with everyone from the Rise Demonstration Center over in Southeast DC to
And Eric, can you put the flyer back up real quick, and then we can see who some of the partners are listed there. Go ahead.
So we have Code for Progress, Rise Demonstration Center. We have N.O.B.E.L Academy also in Southeast DC. We're working with groups like Remix Education's Her Story Mentor Program, Ghost Note Agency, DC Web Women, DC First, DC Innovates. We're really trying to take advantage of some of the groups that DC has to offer. You know, there are tons and tons of organizations here, and because we are a corporate partner here in the District of Columbia, we want to make sure that we do our equitable part in the community as well. So we made strategic decisions to have it in Southeast DC and also partner with some of those organizations who are working here and out of the district.
And I love this flyer because the girls look happy.
Yeah.
Doing technology and being happy. So it starts at 9. There's so much going on. I just have to ask, is there a role for the parents to play?
Well, you know what? And we did not anticipate so many parents being so interested in this. And I mean, and it's a great feeling because honestly, you know, it's good to know that the kids now have support outside of just this institution, right? So it's the parents taking an active role in it, and we do have chaperone opportunities. And I am strategically thinking of ways to have a parent workshop as we do all of this.
There goes Jennifer Charles.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Hey, when your daughter loves science, and let's do a parent workshop.
I think that would be great.
Do a workshop, and for you on that day, I'll actually use my title.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
Just put the date on the calendar.
Yes.
No, but it would be fabulous to do kind of a women's empowerment, how to guide your child through science. I was blessed being the child of an educator and of an amazing mom who gave up her life and career for the 6 of us, and just kind of had the support to be carefree, but there's a pathway, as you know. And I love how comprehensive you are in terms of looking at all of science, social science, economic science, political science, as well as the traditional science classes, and to be able to
those things that support
science. And so that people can understand
well.
that you don't need to always go for the PhD and the professorial route, but that you can apply the brilliance that you glean in those structured environments to the rest of life. And so I love to cultivate and form with you a wonderful.
Well, you know, that's what we do here. That's what we do here. We're gonna. That's how we do. We make it happen live on the air. So now you know we can expect Jennifer Jones
and
this
Holly
day.
Holiday. We gonna find out without having a true 360.
We're gonna have a moment.
Exactly.
We're gonna have a moment. But the date, just to make sure that people have it, is February 28th. It's going to take place at the Rise. They changed the name recently, so Rise Demonstration Center. In Southeast, and of course we will have the flyer and everything on our website and everything. But I definitely want to make sure, and it starts at 9.
So be on time.
And you need to, if you're not on time, you're gonna miss it. Because how the heck would you get all of this stuff in?
You're not gonna be able to do it.
It's not gonna happen.
You're not gonna be able
and I want to point out, how does one even get registered for this?
So there is an Eventbrite link that is also on the flyer, but it's NOBEL-Women 3G as in technology. I know
3G.
3G.
Oh, it's teeny, but we're gonna blow it up. Okay.
So
3G.
It's NOBEL-Women 3G.eventbrite.com. There are limited spaces, so please register.
I know everybody wants to come, but you need to RSVP quick.
You have to RSVP
because it's gonna be wrapped. It's gonna sell out.
Yeah, there's so much interest. We just started a hardcore. Actually, it was just a soft push on the day before yesterday, and we've had so many people who've contacted us, emailing us about it. There's that parent training part. The parents are so interested in it, and so it's challenged me to kind of expand on what I want to do. I always welcome it.
When you and I talked about it, I immediately was like, "Oh my God, look." I had this whole list of things that I really need to talk to you about that was business, but I need to have you on the show because I need for people to know about this program.
Yeah.
Because I was also just really inspired about it. And again, I also love the role of it being legislators who are taking an interest in community. And I love the frame of how important it is that we are high consumers of technology.
High consumers,
and
number
as
one.
such, that the legislators in your organization were forward thinking enough to kind of make that leap.
Yeah,
because a lot of people are not making that connection and that leap. So that was just like,
but you got to think about it too. It's the direction that the country is going in. We are becoming a digital country. There's very few people who still sell tablets anymore, like actual writing tablets. And so because of that, these girls need to know that there's so much that we can do in this area. Oftentimes we kind of get baited into the traditional careers, everyone wants to, be a cosmetologist, or we need that. Lord knows I do.
Yes,
but
Lord,
but there's so many stereotypical roles we get baited into that we don't think outside of the box. You sometimes you think you have to be like this smart kid in math or science to kind of pursue these fields, but you don't. You can be a person who's interested in communications and work with corporations.
And there's a component to help them.
There is a component
Even in
there.
The government contracting space, we see companies who, 5 years ago they thought, I don't need a Facebook or Twitter or other, but now to engage the young talent that's coming out, especially in the IT and health world.
Yeah.
And just a couple of weeks ago, my niece who is at Boeing, shout out to Jamie Schutz Bailey, who was here for the Black Engineers Year Award, and there were, thousands of young, gifted Black engineers who are in all areas of science, engineering, technology. She's an IT professional. And so to cultivate that, Congresswoman Donna Edwards has been hosting a STEM forum every year for the last several years, but people couldn't figure it out. Why is she so involved in STEM? Well, how can you not be?
Hey, when you're making decisions on it, and that's what the message of our legislators are. They're not just concentrating on making decisions that they don't know anything about. Right. They want to see how this piece of technology is influencing the lives of these kids, so that when they're making their decisions, they're thinking holistically about how this really affects day to day. And so that's why Girls, Gigabytes, and Gadgets was such an important component of our programming for this year, because it touches us on different levels. We're all about making sure that we're increasing and promoting Black women and their families across all of these areas, and that includes STEM. And so that's why we're here.
The use of technology and the smartphones, a number of people were very focused on the laptop, tablet world, but the smartphone, the statistics show that while there may be a digital divide with regard to access to computers and other things, everybody has a smartphone.
This is my life.
This is my life. I was just gonna say, words, and I have coined them Holly's words, the magic black box.
Yes, little magic boxes.
And so because of that, to be able to have this conference to really stimulate the conversation and dialogue, so that in schools people understand why, don't push back against technology. What we need to do is educate. So I love the component that, in a teen violence summit, in another teen parent summit, we've had the constant conversation about sexting and texting, that it's a crime, and the information goes out into the cyber fear, and it's sphere, and it stays there forever.
Yeah.
And it's just who has the sophistication to pull it down. So all of the comprehensiveness is why I'm excited about this.
And we, and that's one of our major focuses. We want these girls to be really responsible users of this stuff. Like, I mean, you can't give a child a computer and say, here you go. You got to teach them safety the same way that you teach a child how to drive a car. You teach them how to not touch a socket, a stove. You have to do the same thing with the internet.
Absolutely.
It's too broad for us not to be talking about how do we use it safely. We don't want to stifle it at all.
Absolutely. I love seeing little kids in gatherings where they have their mom's pad and they know how to work it. They know everything.
2 miles know how to use an iPad.
You Google a website, Noble, and you just type one letter wrong or do noble.net instead of noble.org.
And it could be anything.
Anything under the globe that's inappropriate for young people. And so that's why it's so important, while you're promoting the use among young people, that you do the next part of teaching safety and then educating parents. Because I find, even myself, I'm learning from my kids every day something else I can do.
There's always a new app.
Absolutely.
Like there is a 10 and a 13-year gap between my siblings and I.
Yes. Oh, wow.
I don't know anything about Snapchat, but I can call my sister and she would say, oh, that's where you create your stories and you snap this.
Exactly.
And I'm like, okay, and but it's always something new.
That's what my son said. Mom, we don't even use Facebook anymore.
Yeah, like who uses
Instagram anymore? Everybody's on Snapchat. Yeah. I'm like, all right, gotta do Snapchat.
I gotta get a Snapchat. Exactly. I gotta get a kick. I got, and the other thing is that there is a mixed population of adults and children using the same technology. Sure. And so it does create those other issues of awareness that we need to be aware about predators and all those things. And so that's what Girls, Gigabytes, and Gadgets are about. We want to protect our young girls, and we want to make sure that they're responsible users and also producers and decision makers on this technology.
I was like, yes, we're going to educate and empower the girls to think broadly about themselves and their minds and developing their minds. And I love something else that I want you to continue to key on. You do not have to be a 4.0 math whiz genius geniac, in order for you to be able to have a career in this profession. And
Absolutely.
I think that's another message that they say, if girls don't see us as an example. And when I first moved back to this region, I would put on my white lab coat and go to any school just so that girls could see someone who looks like me in a white coat saying science is cool and show them by example.
Right.
And so what you're doing is so overdue.
And
I
I
just
think-
commend
Thank
you
you.
on transformative thinking.
Thank you.
I think one key thing that I'd like to come back to, Jennifer, is the accessibility.
That's right.
Technology gives us a different level of accessibility.
That's
and
right.
it doesn't require us to have a computer. And I can tell you, my nephew, who I often use as a poster child for good and bad decisions, has been making some very poor decisions here of late. And so we said, okay, we're going to turn off your cell phone. He just turned 16 Monday. Happy birthday, Simeon.
Hi, Simeon.
But we turned his cell phone off. And his attitude, quite frankly, was because
He has
Wi-Fi. He has Wi-Fi.
Exactly.
You can
and
turn
as
on
long
your
as
Wi-Fi.
he has Wi-Fi, he really didn't care about the cellular service per se.
But it's
He
the
lives in
access
South
to
Florida. He has Wi-Fi pretty much everywhere he goes, and he has not missed a beat in communicating with
Isn't
his
that amazing?
friends.
And there's nothing you can do.
And we were like, wait a minute, how did
2
Wi-Fi?
years
Yeah.
ago,
So-
it used to be major.
It used to be
but
dial
it's
up.
true.
You know, you get your mama take your computer. That's it. You shut it down.
You look down. You are amazing. Even the bad decisions are good decisions.
No, they're not.
16.
No, no,
Look,
they're not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Simeon,
But-
you are
but-
gifted young. Get it
Yes,
together.
you are gifted, and there's so much going on. But unfortunately, he is not doing well in school right now, and so these kinds of conversations. And I know that there are girls or parents of girls who are out there listening who also may have students that are struggling, and they wonder about what their future can look like. And the reality is, for lots of different reasons, although we have a lot more options in our education these days than we
Yes.
used to have,
Yes.
school and traditional school settings are not for
Or
all
not
all
kids,
kids.
or all girls or all kids. And so understanding how we can utilize technology seems to be a way for them to still have success and be productive citizens.
Well, and to that point, one of the other components of the program, and our friends over at Code for Progress are actually leading these workshops, is the app ideation and the programming. Like, those are things the kids can do now.
Yes.
Like, they have these things they call hackathons every Thursday.
Yes,
that
hackathons.
folks come together and they just work out programming and codes and writings and things like that. Those are the types of activities that we can expose our youth to early, so
Okay.
that if they are challenged in some areas,
Right.
they can do this. And it
Right.
doesn't take a person who has a mathematics degree or a science degree to be able to do this. It can just take you knowing, oh, this is HTML and this is how you put this arrow this way and this arrow that way, and it creates another kind of segment or something like that. So
Absolutely,
I think
absolutely.
there's definitely some
And
opportunities
I think
there.
that it's just exposure. Like, I have started to teach myself to code. And it's funny because I actually went to a hackathon that it was for kids, okay? But I was in the room
It's okay.
supposed
Learning
to
at all
be
stages and
every
mentoring.
See,
And I
admire
pushed the
Holly
kids
because she
out
is
the
my
way.
tech guru.
Yeah, I pushed the kids out the way and was like, now how I do this? Or what kind of wireframe I need? And they were like, this is for the kids. And I was like, yeah, but back to me. But anyway,
Exactly.
we all learned together. Me
Yeah.
and the kids learned together. But there was an app that I was introduced to called Code Academy. And what was cool about it is it literally teaches, it's a free app, and it teaches you how to code. So I learned how to code a little bit at a time when I have, some free time on the metro or whatever. And it gives you lessons in coding. So you
Yes.
just sit there
Yeah.
and you learn how to code. And I can do all kind of little things that I have
I
absolutely
call
no
them
use
tricks,
for
but
yet.
it's wonderful.
Yeah, I have absolutely no use for it yet, but I know that
That is gonna because in our business realm, and this is something that's been amazing. I have a few consultants. One of whom comes to mind is Janine Biggins at Get a Mobile Business App, right? And 3-4 years ago, Janine was saying, I have this technology to be able to develop apps for you. Well, it wasn't then like it is now. Now it's like you almost can't exist the way websites were 15 and 10 years ago. Thank you. The way websites were 15 and 10 10 years ago. Now it's so important to have an application.
Absolutely.
And so there are resources out there. So Holly, I can see you in business saying, I'm going to go ahead and build my app and create some nuances that are for me because it's what the kids are doing. So getting back to your point, Holly, of making sure that we cultivate their natural interests, their natural use of technology for other academic and achievement purposes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
Well, it's 5:30. I can't believe we blown through a half
I
hour.
know.
All freaking ready. But
so
don't
fast.
worry, it's not over. We're going to take a brief
ain't
song
over.
break, and we're going to come right back to this conversation. Please feel free to be part of our live call-in at 567-704-0832 and enter 2014. That's 567-704-0832, and that's code 2014. You guys know I love a theme, and the theme for today is technology. So we're going to kick it off with She Blinded Me with Science by Thomas Dolby. All right, and we are back. We are back. So I want to remind people that they can feel free to be part of this stimulating conversation. Oh, look, we got a new little banner. How cute is that? They can join the conversation at 567-704-0832 and enter participation code 2014. That is 567-704-0832 and enter participation code 2014. Now, before we get back into this conversation, because I still have a lot of questions, which is pretty normal for me, I want to talk about the fact that some of the statistics that I found. So 53% of scientists and engineers working in social scientists are women, but only 13% of women are working of people working in engineering are women, and only 26% working in computer or mathematical science are women. And when you start factoring African American into that, it's almost not even calculatable. Like, I couldn't even find any real statistics. And the same is true when you consider that more than 57% of all girls say that they wouldn't even consider a career in STEM. And then the fact that between the years of 2000 and 2011, where technology has been growing off the charts, we've actually seen a 79% decline in the number of first-year undergraduate women who have shown an interest in computer science, which to me just seems crazy, but also seems like you guys are right on target with doing this program, because I can't even, my interest in technology between 2000 and now has just grown off the charts. And I know, as Jennifer talked about, a big part of what I do as a consultant is to try to help my clients use technology in a smart way so they're not overwhelmed with it. So the idea that there's been a 79% decline is crazy to me. So clearly, just when you think it's overrated, it's not. It's not. Not at all. It's not.
No. It's not at all. Holly, when I was in graduate school, and of course my discipline was biology and chemistry, and it was molecular biology and then cancer.
Right.
And so we saw this amazing thing happen, that there were a tremendous steal out of the almost 18,000 people who go to medical school annually.
Yes.
There was at least like a 6% attrition rate for African Americans, male and female.
Yes.
But when it came to the discipline of careers and people pursuing doctorates, less than 1% of all of the graduates 10 years ago were African American women.
That's crazy.
And something that you begin to see was that not only is the disciplines, are they themselves still very traditional. Yes. And so there's not mentorship, there's not support, and it's such a competitive field by the nature of scientific competition. Even in the engineering field, I can name 10 businesswomen who were IT professionals who own their own companies because it's just so much easier than to stay in the discipline. And so the other part of motivating young people to pursue careers in STEM that I started embracing was truly talking to them about the realities of the discipline, getting past some of the hurdles that are more psychological, social, and so forth. And so are you going to do something or prepare to address that for these young people?
Well, I think we made the start, because what we realized is that, to your very same points, a lot of reasons that you've kind of seen that decline in participation across these disciplines is because we don't see ourselves as creators, as developers, because there's no one in our communities normally that we know that are developers, that we know are creators. And so that lack of exposure itself causes that decline. So whereas you may have people who may go to med school and they think, okay, this is cool, I'm med school, I've done what I was supposed to do, I was told I was going to be a doctor, I was told I was going to be a nurse, this is what I did, and I've done it, and that's it. So when you do have those people who like, you know, like some people you may know who've gone out to get that PhD, it's because they saw something greater than that moment.
Absolutely.
And they realized that.
Right.
That's not existent for us at this moment, but we're at NOBEL-Women, we're working to change that. That's why 3G is here. That's why we're putting women in front of these girls who are just so varied and so diverse in terms of what they do on their daily. To wrap up that evening, well, before we wrap up the evening, we're going to have a panel called Women in STEM. And so, like, and it's going to touch on those who are scientists, those who are tech savvy, those who are engineers, those who have their PhDs in mathematics, and really like telling these girls, like, look, it is cool to be a science head. It's okay to be a techie. This is what a techie looks like. It's not always the traditional type of person that you see. You know, medicine is not the only science field out there.
For
us.
And when you start to look at an economy that already took itself through the sojourn of economics, you know, which disciplines you're going to make the most money in, consistently it's engineers. Always. Consistently. And so
the demand is there. We don't have enough engineers.
And so for young people, I think something that's really, really important, and you've touched on it, was I was comfortable in science because I saw it. I saw it at Southern University. I saw it at Louisiana State University. I saw it at Tulane University. I was invited to Meharry. I was invited to be a part of, like, the American Chemical Society. So I was always and then once NIH started inviting me, the CDC, you just realize there's a whole world and discipline. And by the time I was 30, I can tell you, I felt like a senior scientist. I felt like I had been in the discipline for almost 20 years because I had. And so that's the value of the engagement, which is why many people can tell you, before I moved into the depth of community service in Prince George's County, I was all around the Beltway. If teachers said, just come to my class, I would stop the world, take a day off, just so that young people could see and engage.
It's very important. It's very important. Even being just a young executive, it's important for younger women, especially young girls, to see me and hear my story. Being from humble beginnings, navigating a big city, going all of the way, because
and knowing that you cry and you think about disappointing days and you want to throw stuff at me, that I'm normal. I'm just like
normal.
you.
Exactly.
But not only that, but it is. Sometimes that's necessary. Those tears are necessary because they make you stronger than you could ever believe. Like, you know, like this sticker says, girls do rock. Like they do. And boys do too.
You're exactly
boys
right.
do too.
Yeah,
but
we're not
girls,
taking anything away
nothing away from the boys, but young women need it.
But I have my whole spiel. When women are well, their children are well,
their families.
Women are well, their relationships are healthy. So if we start with the girls being well, we can raise up generations that compete and set a standard. I was laughing because my niece was here and she kept telling my other son, who's 16 and in science and tech in high school, and she was like, you dating anybody? No, that's good because you're a nerd. Everything she kept saying, and love being a nerd. Except she was like, oh, being a nerd is cute. Cool. I was a nerd.
Like,
and
you want a nerd. You marry nerds.
I was a nerd and I was a cheerleader. And she was like, look at your mama. We are nerds with diversity. So that's what I try to teach young people. Just because you are, and that's where the diversity of you not just being locked into the traditional sciences and traditional engineering and math, but looking at all political and entrepreneurial economic science, looking at all of the other scientific disciplines, helps them to understand if you're managing the soundboard at a concert, if you're in the recording studio, which is cool, right?
Super cool.
You're still an engineer.
Because and those are the people who make the magic
happen.
That's
who make the magic
and they
happen.
have to understand it. And I think that's great, largely in part because this is what it requires. It requires us having conversations like this, having events like this, bringing people from all backgrounds together in one place, and so these girls can see it and they can do it, you know.
Well, you know, these things do not happen on their own.
They do not.
So I definitely want to give you talked about who some of your partners are, but let's talk about how people can support you. Maybe they can't attend the event. What are some other ways they can support this very important program?
Well, we are always looking for sponsors, Holly. We have been so privileged and so blessed to have some amazing friends at Google who've actually donated 5 Chromebooks for us to give away.
Awesome.
So that's amazing.
So that's a reason to show up now.
It is.
You
have to be present to win.
You have to be present. Yeah, we want to see your face.
Yes, absolutely. That we've had DC Innovates has come in and gifted us with some funds. AT&T is looking how they can be supportive, and so we're welcoming as many people as who can really come out and be supportive. We're having these girls there all day.
Exactly.
We're looking to feed them and get them some cool little gadgets and things to take with them.
Awesome.
Some of our friends at CTIA have given us some goodies for our bags, and so we definitely want to. And I think Verizon's also coming in and bringing in some things. So we're looking for as many friends as possible.
And
sponsorship
and they can check.
Let's talk dollars. You can take $25. You can take $250. You can take $2,500. You understand? Because sometimes people think I'm limited in giving. I'm not giving $100, but 4 people with $25 is $100.
That's $100, and it will feed these kids. It will feed at least 8 kids for that day.
Absolutely.
So, whatever donations that they have, they can contact me you can call me in the office at 202-507-6246. You can shoot me an email I'll give you my work email at WAIKINYA@Nobel, that's NOBEL -women.org.
And that's also the website address is Nobel, NOBEL -women.org to find out more information about this and other programs. Yeah, so that's a good way for them to get in contact with
also, yes, definitely. Contact us on via phone, email, shoot us an info at NOBEL-Women.org. However you need to reach us, let us know. We're always available because we really want to grow this next year. Right now we did cap it because we wanted to control the environment a little bit. But we're looking to be able to take this to a much larger scale. Right now we're looking at about 100 to 125 girls.
That's a nice start.
Yeah, trust me, it's overwhelming enough. But we've had, like I said, some amazing friends and partners that come on and help us be able to do this, but we can't do it alone. We really need as many financial partners as we can possibly get.
Awesome. Well, we definitely want to encourage those of you listening who have daughters and sisters and nieces and mothers and anyone who's a female who needs to be involved with tech. We think you should support this program, and you can go to NOBEL, NOBEL-women.org to do so, or give Waikinya a call at 202-507-6246. So before we let you get out of here, I got a couple things. So you guys have kind of hit on the impact that this can have on a community. I want to get back to something that we talked about, that we brought up briefly in the first segment, and that is about the impact that it can have on them being decision makers. Because I think so often, so much of what we do, we entrust to others. So what role do you think this has on just leadership in general and the impact that it can have on people who are making decisions?
Well, a couple of things.
Okay.
So one of our main goals is to create a workforce of highly trained, skilled, educated, and equipped women.
Okay.
That's first and foremost. And that's across almost every field that's out
there.
Yes.
We don't want to just limit it to tech. We definitely want to put a very strong focus on women running for office, pursuing them, seeing themselves as leaders, and going for those opportunities. The other thing is they're going to see women who are not just, again, those creators, but women who are also like vice presidents of major corporations, who are, principals at lobbying firms, and, major advisors to, undersecretaries and things like that within the federal government. We're exposing these young girls to women who are the decision makers. Okay. We have elected officials in the room who are going to come there and take part of these activities with them. We've invited members of Congress to come out and take part in the activities because they need to see us. They need to see us at every level. In as many ways as they can. So that's what we're looking to do with this event. We want them to leave there thinking like, I can be her. In fact, I'm gonna be greater than her because I'm gonna be where she is before she's there.
Exactly.
So you know, like we want
to
really give them that. No,
I tell people all the time when I left the bench, it was shortly after 9/11, so I had been planning my exit for a couple of years, and many times people would say, "How does a cancer research scientist, how does a molecular biologist sit in the room?" And it's like, yes, well, I can impress you about extracting DNA and looking at femtomoles of DNA and talk to you about gene expression and teach you all of science and human biology. What I truly know is that the confidence that you have to have to exist in that world, to compete in that world, and to really learn your value, that you are creating knowledge. You are creating, whether it's a sentence or a blurb or a significant find. And so that's translated into being in the boardroom. I'm relatively unintimidatable. There are some things that, like, if it's being done, I can do the research and figure it out and find the experts to support that. And there are all kinds of skills that you get just from being in the discipline, and I think that they do translate into leadership.
Absolutely.
And they do translate into this confidence, and people wonder, where does it come from? It's not that scientists are arrogant or that they're cocky. It's that you are used to competing and saying, I will find the answer. I will burn the midnight oil. And I think all of those, I mean, just your conference is so comprehensive, and I just want to applaud, commend you. I want to encourage our listeners to go to NOBEL-Women.org, look at Girls, Gigabytes, and Gadgets. And it's just a trendy name. I said, Holly, this is so hot. And I was like, oh, I saw the plug. Meaning it's normal Holly, because it's our creative thing. Holly and I create knowledge very well together, because being intelligent women, we are able to compete. She's an attorney, so her core background of, like, knowing the fact and putting logic around it, putting predictable research, all of that creativity cultivates something, and you're creating an environment for young people. And so even if it's just 30 minutes that I can help you give some capacity for the parents to say, support your daughter, keep her going, keep her engaged. When you see something free, or they can become a junior league member, or the universities all around the district have events, take them to the STEM event. I don't care if 20 people are there, your child is getting a comfortability that this is good.
And you don't know who's in that room.
That's right.
And oftentimes you don't even know what your child is capable of, because they don't know until they're placed in an environment where they have to showcase that. And so it really is important to get out in front of things and make sure that you're supporting your child as much as you can, as often as you can, and in any way you can, honestly. And sometimes it's that time that you're willing to put with that child for them to see how valuable what they have is, particularly in this environment. So, we're just looking forward to this event.
It's just valuable.
It's so much.
I'm championing you so much, because I often tell people, I remember the day that I heard about this thing called cancer, and everybody in my family was sad because a family member had been diagnosed with cancer. So as a little girl, I was like, if I could find a cure, my philanthropic heart. But then it was going to First Baptist Church in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, held it, and it wasn't even an African American church. They had an aptitude weekend, and they invited a bunch of us to come and take aptitude tests to tell us about our potential and about careers we could. That one conversation let me know I could be a nurse, and if I could be a nurse, I could be a physician, and if I could be a nurse and a physician, I could be a research scientist, and if I can do those things, I can create knowledge. Wow. And just mind-blowing at 12 years old, and put me on this thirst for discovering more. So you are pouring into the lives of young girls. Amazing. So kudos
round of
to
applause
Noble
for
Women.
Sure.
I'm gonna be celebrating you on every venue that I communicate.
Yes, and I definitely want to give you a chance to just give us final thoughts about Girls, Gigabytes, and Gadgets, and also share with us anything that might be coming up for NOBEL-Women that the community should know about aside from this program.
Oh, goodness. So, final thoughts on 3G. I have to call it 3G because it's just 3G. So techy. I love it.
Yes.
But we really want as many girls as possible to take advantage of this opportunity.
Yes.
We are here in the district. We are a resource. And we want to be seen as that for women in the community on every level. But particularly when it comes to our young girls. Our young girls are facing challenges that we have not even dreamt of.
Yes.
Like, you know,
Yes.
and it's, and, you know, being from a place where I'm from and just kind of seeing some of the challenges that these young girls go through on a daily, I am just like, I just know I have to do something to, like, you know, to really make my mark and really feel like I'm really pouring and investing into their lives.
Balance what's out there.
Well, the other thing is, I know that these girls are my future. So I don't want my future left to people that I can't rely on. So I want to make sure I do everything I can. If it may, who knows, you know, I may need one of them to create some type of technology to help me live a little bit longer. So I want to make sure I did my part.
A robot to help us walk, drive, with no car, girl. We still showing up.
You know, so, and that's the other thing. So we really want to, you know, be that resource, and also make sure that we are serving them in ways that they can see in the long run. A couple of other events that help us pay it forward is also one of our main initiatives, and that's our Nobel-Women Leadership Institute.
Yes.
That institute is going to be life-changing for so many people. It has already been that for a lot of people. And you know what it is a year-long training institute for women who are interested in leadership. So whether you're looking to run for office, whether you're looking to lead corporations or be a nonprofit, going to nonprofit management, this program is designed specifically for you. We're going to teach you how to deal in tough situations, teach you the difference between ethical and principled leadership. Principled leadership versus situational leadership. You know, you're going to learn how to deal with press, how to manage your personal image, how to build your team so that it is sustainable. And you know, and that goes across all areas, because you need a solid team. I don't care where you
No
are.
matter
No matter what you do, you need a solid team.
Absolutely.
And also we're going to talk to them about fundraising, because what we realize for women who are looking to run for
fundraising,
office,
people, fundraising.
Sustainability. I'm sitting here like, okay, I'm
all about fundraising.
That brought me to your website, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna do all kind of stuff together.
So we definitely want to encourage women, and this is for women ages 21 and older. So we don't put a cap on it. If you're 99 and you want to lead, we're gonna be right here to train you.
But leadership has its value.
Yeah, it has its value.
That's one of the things that I don't know if Holly push this to you in a presentation, but Truth 360 is by Black Dress Collaborative, and cornerstone to everything that we do is developing leaders on all levels.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Well, so we definitely have some synergy there, so we'll talk about that
at
a later date.
The deadline for application to the Leadership Institute is at March.
It is March 1st.
So it's coming up. You guys,
it's
like
coming
2
up.
more
You have
weeks.
like 2 weeks.
We get another good snow. You'll have a week a day to get your application and work on it.
And if you're real interested in it, just send me an email and we can see what we can work out. But I really we're really focusing on people meeting deadlines.
Absolutely.
You know, we're talking holistically
this
here
is
about creating a culture of excellence.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna go for that.
The way you want to finish.
Yes, start the way you want to finish.
On time.
Yes.
You have
And
to be held
one of
accountable,
my
and deadlines are
just texted
accountability.
and said, can you guys just have her one more time reiterate what's going to be happening at the conference? Talk about the leadership because it's just been so awesome.
Okay, so one more shout. Let's give it out.
Okay, so for Girls, Gigabytes, and Gadgets, that's going to take place Saturday, February the 28th. It's going to start at 9 o'clock a.m. at the RISE Demonstration Center. That's on the campus of St. Elizabeth's East. So I know historically that has been DC's mental hospital. They are really doing a transformation over there. It's becoming the new technology hub.
Tell the details. The General Services Administration in the federal government, and FEMA, who's an acronym I cannot remember. It's a Federal
Emergency Management Agency.
Okay? So FEMA and GSA have both parts of that St. Elizabeth's campus. They've already completed phase 1 and are on target for about $400 million more worth of development. And this RISE Center is the community center that they put on this campus for community to utilize. So I was so excited.
I'm glad you said it because I was like, okay.
I was so excited.
Give
and
her
I'm
a
glad
chance to
Holly,
pump that up.
that Holly reiterated it, because there's a large community group and faith-based group that right now are looking at ways to utilize those resources. So for you to be using that technology in that center is awesome.
Well, and I think it's best that we use our resources,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
They have been an awesome partner to us, and so we want to make sure that as many people as possible know about the demonstration center, because there are resources right there. They're going to be programming there from their content partners. That's going to be held on a regular, and it's going to be free and available to the public. So use it.
Yes.
I mean, from professional development seminars to tech events. I mean, there's already a number of things that are going on in that space, and this is kind of giving us an opportunity to kind of really put our footprint in there as well.
That's right. I think it's so
and really
beautiful.
expose our people to other things, and so that's what we're doing.
I love it. Well, Waikinya, the time has flown by, but I really just thank you for dropping by Truth 360.
Thank you for having me.
We have had an hour
Thank you
filled with girls,
awesome.
gigabytes, and gadgets, which will be happening on February 28th at the Rise Demonstration Center. You know you want more information. You know you want more information.
Yes.
So for those of you who do, which is everybody, I want you to give Waikinya a call at 202-507-6246 or email her at WAIKINYA@NOBEL-Women.org. NOBEL-Women.org. And we will be right back after this song break. We're going to go to an old school Computer Love with Zach featuring Roger. And when we come back, we'll get to what we missed in the top of the hour, and that's our hot topics, folks.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all. This was so great.
Searching for someone who can share that special love with me. And your eyes have that glow. Could it be your face I see on my computer screen? I need a special girl here in my computer world. Need astrology, thanks to modern technology. Shoot-a-bop, I wanna love you. Shoot-a-bop, baby. Shoot-a-bop, I wanna love you. Shoot-a-bop, my computer. You know I've been around from hot sexy mamas. Treasure, oh so rare. Official face I see on my computer screen. Won't you keep me warm tonight? Yeah. Such a sweet delight.
I will cherish the memory of this night. Yes, I found my computer. I wanna love you. Shoot-a-bop, computer. Shoot-a-bop, I wanna love you. Shoot-a-bop, my computer.
Digital love, computer love, computer love, digital love, a beautiful love, digital love, digital love. It's just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful love. Hey, my computer love. come get computer live. Come get
if I'm coming or going, but welcome back to Truth
Welcome
360
back.
by BDC. We did the bottom of the show at the top of the show, and now we're going to do the top of the show and the middle of the show, and then later we're going to have the community segment at the end of the show. It's just all crazy here.
That's all right. It's
And,
wonderful. The snowstorm and the winds came.
We just
and
going
they
with
just
it,
going
and it's
with
going to
the
be
flow.
fabulous. I'm looking at myself on this camera and realize I got on cheetah print and zebra stripes. I'm just clearly
All
gone
American
wild.
in
Yeah,
the
so
jungle,
it is
mighty
the exactly. It is Truth 360 Host Gone Wild Day.
But I think it's been fabulous already.
absolutely,
Holly. We
absolutely.
had
I
such
agree.
a wonderful guest in Noble-Women's
I
own
agree.
Waikinya Clanton talking about girls, gigabytes, and gadgets.
Some of my favorite
3G.
things. Oh, you into the mic, baby.
3G. You know what it is. You know, it's that wind. I'm still
I know,
settling
we're
down.
we're going crazy, but it's all good. It is all good, and in the midst of all of this, I did have the occasion to peruse the news, and
Yes.
and every time I do, occasionally I find something that really either warms my heart or makes me say, "Oh, that's great."
Yes.
Yeah, not today though. Today, I
is not
find
one of
out
those
today
days.
is not. Today is one of those days that make me regret ever going through the paper, ever turning on the news, ever hearing about anything. And it is the bid to allow guns on college campuses.
Okay.
And what they're trying to do, actually, as they have invited their first woman to be a part of the National Board of Students for Campus Carry, because that's where we need guns, where hormones rage
Exactly.
and good sense reigns in beer drunken and frat parties. We need to add weapons into the middle of that, and an effort to move these pieces of policy and legislation. They're arguing that armed female students would help to reduce sexual assault. And the reality is that support for campus carry laws has been really, really difficult, even amongst those who are supporters of a right to carry and bear arms, which I actually do support the right to bear arms.
Yes.
But there are some limits, and
this is one
and
of
this
them.
is one of them.
It's right up there, Holly.
It's right up there,
with guns in the schools in response to Sandy and the other school shootings. It's that, can we not put our investments in a little bit more security? There are other things like tasers, other things that women can do and individuals can do to protect themselves that don't have such final consequences
that are
and
not
dire.
lethal. But if you live in the states of Florida, Nevada, Montana, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, or Wyoming, then you will see your state legislature is entertaining bills that will allow students to be able to carry guns on campus. And this has been very hard to. While this idea is definitely not new, it's been particularly hard to pass because of the school violence that has occurred, particularly like incidents that happened in our our own Virginia Tech, where students were killed by a person who was able to get possession of a firearm but was mentally ill. Basically, most states are pretty much split between 2 points of view. The first point of view is forbidding guns on campus everywhere, which is how it exists in important states like Missouri, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina, New York, Ohio, some of those states that just forbidden to have a gun on campus, period. And the other the other half of the states allow it to be up to the school itself, which is in fact the case in Maryland, West Virginia, Kentucky, Alabama, Kansas, California, Arizona, Washington, Oregon, and so forth. But then we have these 10 states that are looking to loosen or remove the ban on concealed firearms on campus. And I just feel like this is just crazy. And I just think that, to allow guns on campus is just really taking us in the wrong direction, and particularly concealed weapons on campus. And I agree with you. There are just too many other things. And the fact that they are linking this to an issue as serious as sexual violence, as if guns on campus is the way
it's the solution instead of
prevent
the preventative
sexual violence or any kind of violence against women on campuses, it just makes my stomach turn, because they're taking one volatile issue and linking it to another without any type of evidence or proof that says that carrying a concealed weapon in some way is preventative of sexual assault or violence against women.
Instead of just having the conversations with all of the
dialogue.
dialogue.
And so it just turns my stomach. It really does.
Yes.
So after I got through throwing up about that,
I'm with you in the regurgitation, Holly, because like you cornerstone all of your words with how do you address violent acts with a violent solution instead of addressing violent acts on an educational campus with the greatest tool to ignorance is education.
Absolutely.
So we could be doing workshops, training people, but instead we're having a conversation about how to empower emotional people at the prime and the beginning of independence, the beginning of exploring. Most of us in college learn how to be rebels and learn what we're passionate about when we're in that cocoon of learning.
Yes,
and so
absolutely.
I just think introducing violence to that cocoon is just adding fuel to the fire.
And the worst part about it is it's so obvious, right?
Yes.
Because this is an organization, Students for Campus Carry, that has existed as a lobbying group for almost 10 years.
Wow.
In the history of that 10 years, they've never had a woman on its national board, which just goes to show you that they aren't really interested in women's issues. They're not really interested in preventing violence against women. They're only interested in politicizing that issue and using it as a way to forward their own agenda. Now, am I mad at them trying to do that? I mean, from a strategy standpoint, I get it, but I just want to shed some light on it so that people do not fall for the okie doke. These people are not interested in fighting sexual assault. There's no evidence, study, or anything that suggests that carrying a concealed weapon will protect you against a sexual assault.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, all these people care about is moving guns on campus, period. If they cared about women's issues, they certainly wouldn't have waited 10 years to decide to have a woman be part of their board.
No, not at all.
And it's only when we're starting to see the rise in sexual assaults, or really the rise in people reporting sexual assault on college
and the
campuses happen, and the coverage of it.
Yeah.
Do they then grab a hold of it and say, "Hey, we can use this as an issue to move guns," and we're just not gonna fall for it?
And in the climate and culture that we are in our American society since 9/11, we have had to deal with the reality of violence, of our disproportionate gun violence numbers from a global standpoint, and looking at ISIS. Right now, we're seeing just an extreme level of violence in our global culture and community, and you dare address that at this time, not with education, not with resources, not with prevention, but with more violence.
Exactly. It's just unconscionable, and I just can't anymore. It's just, I'm over it all. So I wanted to bring that up because I know that there'll be several, especially having Waikinya on and her representation of state legislator and stuff that's happening in state legislators. This is why we need effective leadership, and this is why we need to have people elected that can represent us at all levels. This is it right there. We need people to be fighting this, and so we got to work on them other 10 states that we don't have any black women in. So let's go to a song break real quick, and in our next song break, this is like one of my new favorites. It's The Selfie by the Chainsmokers.
When Jason was at the table, I kept on seeing him look at me while he's with that other girl. Do you think he was just doing that to make me jealous? Because he was totally texting me all night last night, and I don't know if it's a booty call or not. So, what do you think? Did you think that girl was pretty? How did that girl even get in here? Do you see her? She's so short, and that dress is so tacky. Who wears cheetah? It's not even summer. Why does the DJ keep on playing Summertime Sadness? After we get out of the bathroom, can we go smoke a cigarette? I really need one. But first, let me take a selfie. I want to look tan. What should my caption be? I want it to be clever. How about living with my bitches, #live. I only got 10 likes in the last 5 minutes. Do you think I should take it down? Let me take another selfie. Let me take a selfie.
Who wants to be in the Chainsmokers music video?
Wait, pause. Jason just liked my selfie. What a creep. Is that guy sleeping over there? Yeah, the one next to the girl with no shoes on? That's so ratchet. That girl is such a fake model. She definitely bought all her Instagram followers. Who goes out on Mondays? Okay, let's go take some shots. Oh no. Ugh, I feel like I'm gonna throw up. Oh wait, never mind, I'm fine. Let's go dance. There's no vodka at this table. Do you know anyone else here? Oh my god, Jason just texted me. Should I go home with him? I guess I took a good selfie. Let me take a selfie.
are back. You feeling all right?
I'm feeling okay.
I think it was my stripes and my leopard print is doing a little bit too much.
It was
Okay.
something stimulated. Who knows
Ooh,
what it is.
all right. Well, welcome back to Truth 360 by BDC. We are broadcasting live on WLVS live.com, and you can be part of our conversation by following us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, and they're all right there on the stream. Truth 360 by BDC. And we were in the middle of our hot topics. There's just so much stuff going on. We were talking about the guns on campus. But man, this ISIS situation has really gotten out of control as well.
Yeah, it's really mind-blowing, Holly, and I don't even want to dwell on the negativity for long. I just want to pinpoint the utter disdain, frustration, and just sense of doom that's being created by this organization that's attempting to have a global jihad, much opposed to the Islamic faith community, much opposed to the traditions and beliefs of my friends in the Islamic community. I think it's offensive what they're doing, but to have burned 45 people alive, to behead Christians, to just make it their decision to attack the world in every egregious way that they can to be heard. It's just completely opposed to what I know to be beautiful about the faith of Islam. And as a Christian who has respect for all religious practices, respect people's right to choose religious practices, I just think this is the cornerstone of evil. And it's left such a sour taste to know that our president is debating whether or not to act. The Congress is politicizing the decision whether or not to act. More than 78% of Americans, in some polls 60 to 68%, are saying that they support there being some action by the United States to support and address this issue. Now, every time that I hear about smoke in a train, I'm wondering, is this a test? Is this the way that you're going to attack us? And not that we are so beyond attack. For many years, America was kind of sheltered from this kind of attack, and then 9/11 happened. And I just think that I hope that we and that our listeners are really paying attention to what's happening in our global community. And if we don't stand together, united against this scourge and evil, it is just going to make our world kind of that sci-fi stuff that we see happening in 2120 or some futuristic mode, that it will become, violence will be so acceptable globally. It will interfere with travel, with all of the things that technology has helped us to bridge and foster engagement. Here we have just a cornerstone of evil attempting to have a foothold by having this shock and awe. And, I feel like a patriot, like just drop some bombs, kill a bunch of people, and here we go addressing violence with violence. But I feel spiritually, intellectually, and emotionally imbalanced right now. I don't know how to have a response. I have not given myself the time to digest, pause, and think, and then to do some reading and homework to appeal to some of my deeper mental and intellectual thoughts, as well as prayerfully to think about spiritual. I just feel like somebody's trying to hurt the world, like hurting my kids. That's a problem for me, and so rainbow and butterflies over here, rainbows and blessings, is feeling blessings and rainbows only because my own faith teaches me that nothing can separate me from God's love, and anything that he allows in the world will ultimately be better for us. And I have to live and rest there because I'm so grieved.
Yeah. Well, I think, the interesting thing about ISIS and really just the way that terrorism in general has shaped over the last 20 years or so since, 15 plus years since 9/11,
Yes.
is that it doesn't belong to a country. The sense of nationalism is sort of gone, and we have retreated back into these religious based sects, and it's not about the religion per se.
Not at all.
It's just a way to separate ourselves from other people. And I think, what I actually think about is that just like anytime there's been a warmonger
Yes.
who has come into the world and has figured out a new way to wage war against the world, going back to even the times of Romans,
Exactly.
it required the world to change the way in which it fought.
That's right.
When we dealt with Napoleon, and when we dealt with Hitler, and when we dealt with, many of the other tyrants of the world, they all came with a new way to bring terror to the world. And they were only defeated by not the United States, but the united support of the world that was anti-terrorism. And so until we can effectively come together as a world, either through G8 or either the United Nations or some mechanism where we are on one accord as a world, it's not a United States problem. It is a global problem. Every peace-loving, every nation that is peace-loving and that honors people's beliefs is not going to make this about religion. It's going to make it about how do we have peace.
Yes.
And if we can come together around how we address peace and defeat war in a way in which we can protect the peace of the world, that's the only way it's going to be a difference. It's not going to come because our president does something.
Absolutely.
It's not going to come because the prime minister of Britain decides to do something. It's not going to come because other world leaders as individuals decide to do something. It's going to come because as a collective, world leaders who are forwarding peaceful agendas are going to come together and say enough.
Yes.
If no one is selling, these folks are not manufacturing guns.
No.
They're not, they don't have gun distributorships in their backyards. They can't produce weapons on their own. If their supply is cut off, if they are not allowed to travel freely amongst nations, if they are not allowed to participate in the world economy, it brings them to their knees. So we know what we have to do, but it's going to require us to decide that peace is more important than allowing the warmongers to exist in our society.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, that is a blessings and rainbows
That's what I'm saying.
proposition. But that's really where we need to get to, and we need to find and unite. It is
around the cause of peace and to see it, and I think that's where the cornerstone of this being evil and the address to evil being comprehensive, being global, because anything that would try to disrupt the engagement of cultures and communities. And as I'm watching the attacks happen, I'm simply seeing every time you attack a different group, you are bringing the coalition of forces that need to be together. And we've been growing up, I think in our teenage years, there was always this threat of World War III.
Yes.
And so anything that moves us and moves the needle towards that and away from the expression of our humanity in a beautiful way is egregious to me. It just saddens me. And so I'm going to stay for a few days in kind of a thoughtful, meditative mode. But I hope by next week that I'll have a what our listeners can do, because like you said, it's not just the U.S.'s response. We cannot be the global. It has to be unified. And I was listening to Morning Joe this morning, and one of the commentators was saying how, you know, we think that Americans are tired of war and we don't want to get involved in another war, but that's not what the data's showing. America's saying we want peace, and if it takes for us to stand united with other countries to have that peace,
that's right,
that collaborative, that coalition approach, then we can actually do something about it.
That's
so
right. That's right.
That's kind of where I'm gonna
right.
just to say, everybody pay attention and begin to think, and most of all be prayerful in your thinking, and we'll all look towards what we can do to foster a spirit of collaboration and a spirit of coalitionness around peace loving.
Right. Well, I've mentioned the news was not my friend today, so we go from guns on campus to terror in the world. And I'm going to bring it right back with racist football, i.e. soccer fans in Britain, and I was just so distressed to hear that a British football team was in the process of, in Paris, they were taping. And, you know, we always talk about race relations in the United States, but I just want to highlight that, you know, this racist attitude is a worldwide thing. And as a group of sports fans were getting on the train in Paris, a group who appeared to be Chelsea supporters of the Chelsea football team were chanting, "We're racist, and we like it that way. We're racist, and we hate you, and we like it that way." And they were doing so as a black man was getting on the train in Paris, wearing the jersey of a rival football team. And I was actually pleased that the Chelsea team immediately put out a statement and said that they did not endorse the behavior, and that they thought it was absolutely horrific, that there's no place in football or society for these types of statements, and that they would strongly support any criminal action against those involved for such behavior. And they definitely did not want it to be linked to any of their season ticket holders or members of the club, and that they would actually look at trying to see if they were, so that they could look at possibly banning them from the club, that they take it very seriously. And I think that is exactly the kind of response that we need to have. It needs to be swift, it needs to be decisive, and it needs to say we have a zero tolerance for this type of activity. So while it certainly probably was distressing for this poor man who's just trying to get on a train in Chelsea to have a group of people yelling racist slurs at him, I would like to say good for the club, the Chelsea Football Club, for their support of him, even though he's not a Chelsea fan. To say that this is just not going to be tolerated.
But it speaks again to kind of that need for those of us to stand up against such negativity. And I think, speaking to, you know, the racism that exists globally and around the world, it's not what you do in the big battle of issues of race, of issues of terror, of issues of people with whom you disagree in principle and in ideology, but how you stand up and be the counterbalance to that. And so I'm champion, and I think that'll be my word for the week, the counterbalance.
The counterbalance, yes.
The counterbalance for evil, the counterbalance for racism. Look
yes.
at the snowfall, Holly, and the
yeah,
counterbalance for good. So I'm going to give a little bit in these last couple of moments to some blessings and rainbow.
Okay.
I had the pleasure last night of seeing Coach Thompson at Georgetown University highlighting a nonprofit organization with whom he is closely affiliated. And that organization is called Men Against Breast Cancer. Mark Hasen is the president and founder of former Baltimore Orioles. And I was so excited to hear about the platforms for training, for education, for workshops to get more men who are the caregivers of women with breast cancer. Although men can have breast cancer too, about 5% of all cases are men.
Yes.
And so to help men with this new role in being caregivers for women so that women can heal, I was just overjoyed. We were having a conversation earlier today about when it comes to heart disease, breast cancer, and other illnesses that women face, the recovery rates for women in those illnesses as compared to men is not always as great. And it's not because they're not getting the quality of care, it's because they feel so compelled to get back at it in supporting the nucleus of the family that they're not giving themselves a chance and opportunity. So I was so excited to find out. And then when I went on the website, and I started seeing the honorary board members, Senator Robert Cole, Representative Elijah Cummings, and I was like, oh, that's so wonderful. Then I saw my dear friend, Brian Mitchell, former Washington Redskin, and that Brian and Dot Walker are part of this movement. And so I'm so excited, Holly, to see men and women finding points of collaboration in our conversations about the things that challenge us in our humanity and human experience. That this is one of those days I'm giving a big shout out to menagainstbreastcancer.org, to Mark Hasten and the entire team of directors, board of directors, members, affiliate, and to all of the great men who participated in conferences throughout the country. Holly, they're putting this show on the road, and we're going to keep in touch and try to get in touch with some of those guys to have them come and share with us this effort of Men Against Breast Cancer. It's a phenomenal effort, and it is going to be my Blessings and Rainbow signature for a day where the news is not that good.
Well, we needed to kind of end on a good note. And as we go into some of our thoughts, you know, one thing that I just am impressed with, and I am so glad that we had Waikinya on today.
Yes.
You know, I was trying to say, well, she come next week, but I'm not going to be here next week. Yes. But I said, oh, this is perfect because this gives us like 10 days or so. And she said, and we're actually launching it this week. So it worked out so perfectly.
Yes.
And the thing that I love is, you know, everything is not for everybody. But I love the fact that she puts together this program that is focused on girls, but that all kinds of girls.
Yes.
First, the age diversity from 8 to 18. You know, secondly, the field diversity, right? So not just looking at those hardcore sciences that are traditional sciences, but introducing technology and math and computer science. And then looking at those things that support it, because let's face it, all of us are not going to be scientists, but we also need writers and creators and thinking about people who are just users of technology, which encompasses such a broad scope. And then pulling back the lens on even that and saying, at the end of the day, the other thing that we have to think about is the leadership in all of this, and where do we see ourselves in leadership, and then adding a component for that. I just have to commend her for such a well-rounded and well put together program. And it reminds me that in that program is just so much of what we talk about here all the time, and that is no matter what your situation is, no matter who you are, what you think you are, what you think you know, there's always an opportunity for you to learn, there's always an opportunity for you to grow, and there's always an opportunity for you to continue to seek your best self. And going to conferences like this at the tender age of 8 is a great place to start. And I mean, I could not commend her more for doing that. I was just too excited. I was literally on the edge of my seat as she was discussing it. We were in a joint meeting about something completely different, and then in the announcement she shared that, and I said, oh my God, you have to come and talk about that.
It's fabulous.
And again, you know, even for those people who maybe you don't see yourself as a nerd, maybe you don't really like chemistry, maybe you don't really maybe you're not even doing well in school, but there's still a place for you in this world to be a productive citizen. And programs like Girls, Gigabytes, and Gadgets helps to find a place for everyone, from the top nerd to the dropout
to the fashionista,
the dancer,
we need all of
to
that
all those people in between.
That's right.
There's a way for you to be successful and live your passion.
I completely agree, Holly. I was overjoyed just to have Noble-Women be a part of today's show and to highlight girls, gigabytes, and gadgets as a scientist, but more than that, just as a woman who is so committed to transformational leadership, servant leadership, and to personal growth and development. What better way to stimulate girls? And I think if I'm able to make this connection that Juanica and I have been trying to have for a couple of years now, that it begins here, it just again speaks to the value of Truth 360 to share. I know that so many of our listeners are supporters of young girls and women's organizations, and just to be able to push the dialogue and conversation and be transformative in that conversation is amazing. I have become a television lover again. I'm from the generation of kids in the 70s and 80s who watched television and played indoors way too often in the heat of Louisiana. And so having Hulu and Netflix to be able to catch up on shows when we have snow days like we did yesterday,
yes.
I am elated because last night I was watching Being Mary Jane. And so while I was sitting going back and forth between the haves and the have-nots, Being Mary Jane and the Negro Book of Negroes and doing a whole bunch of flipping and going back and forth, there was something that I loved. The first time that I did like a Hulu stint or maybe a BET, Black Entertainment Television stint on Being Mary Jane.
Yes.
She's a writer and a reporter. And she, throughout the show, they showed this typewriter and typed messages going across segments of the show.
Yes.
And she had this wall that she created with her Post-it stickers all over the mirror. And it reminded me of my youth, how I used to say, okay, I want to make an A in this class, or I want to have as a goal to get on the cheerleading squad or dance squad or the flag corps. And all of those things, she uses Post-it stickers to inspire herself. Last night's show, Mary Jane was talking to her niece about health and about the need for us to stimulate our health, but she asked her to go to the vision board and take any Post-it, pull it off the wall, and let it be her motivation. And the Post-it sticker that she chose was Think Different.
Yes.
She said, every morning when you get up, make this your key. And so with regard to girls, gigabytes, and gadgets, with regard to all of the evil and bad that's going on in the world, with things like Men Against Breast Cancer, I can tell you that my big mantra, and shout out to BET, if you think that your shows are just entertainment and don't have value, as a transformative thinker and leader, Think Different is what I want to encourage our listeners to do. That when you hear about something, let's get young girls to think different about their potential in life. Let's get those girls who are not 4.0 and students who are able to academically excel in the maths and sciences to realize that there is value for you in this technological and digital and STEM conversation. STEM became STEAM because they incorporated the arts. And so STEM to STEAM with regard to anything in your life. Think different, think positive, think rainbows, think blessings, but most of all, think purpose and think different. So that's my thought for today.
Well, let's take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with LaVon Reedy Thomas, who's going to be giving us the update on the Women's History Month luncheon.
Absolutely. Excited.
But we're going to take this last song break with Wonderful World by Sam Cooke, and just imagine what it could be if you think different.
Think different.
Don't know much about history. Don't know much biology. Don't know much about a science book. Don't know much about the French I took. But I do know that I love you. And I know that if you love me too, what a wonderful world this would be. Don't know much about geography. Don't know much trigonometry. Don't know much about algebra. Don't know what a sliding rule is for. But I do know 1 and 1 is 2. And if this one could be with you, what a wonderful world this would be. Now, I don't claim to be an A student, but I'm I'm trying to be. For maybe by being an A student, baby, I can win your love for me. Don't know much about history, don't know much biology, don't know much about a science book, don't know much about the French I took, but I do know that I love you, and I know that if you love me too, what a wonderful world this would be. La ta 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 ta. History. Biology. Well, la ta 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 ta. Science book. French I took. Yeah, but I do know that I love you, and I know that if you love me too, what a wonderful world this would be.
All right, and we are back, and we have LaVon Reedy Thomas on the phone with us. Hello, LaVon.
Hello, everyone.
How are
Welcome,
you?
LaVon.
Welcome. You are here to talk to us about something very special, which we look forward to every year, and that's the Women's History Month Luncheon. So tell us what we have in store this year.
Well, this year is the Prince George's County's 30th annual Women's History Month Luncheon. And so in recognition of 30 years, we are switching up the program, and we're calling it our daytime Emmys. So it's showtime for Prince George's County. So we're going to put women of Prince George's County, girls of Prince George's County on center stage to celebrate their accomplishments in public service and in scholarship. So we'll be presenting our annual Gladys Noon Spelman Award, which is our public service award in honor of the late Congresswoman who really made great strides for women in holding first-time positions of elected offices in Prince George's County. And then we'll have the scholarship recipients who are named in her honor as well. We typically give 2 awards, and that will be the case this year. The amount of the awards we usually hold until the day of the event, but it's typically been about $2,000, and those go to 2 students. We don't limit the application to girls, but usually girls get it, and we have a ranking process. We just extended the scholarship deadline to February 23rd, and we have it up on the website because we want to make sure, with the weather being what it is, that February 24th, that everybody has that extra day or so to get their transcripts in. So if they go to our website, all of the information about the event, the scholarship is online.
All right, and give us the website, LaVon, so we know exactly where to go.
It's the Prince George's County government website, and that's www.princegeorgescountymd.gov.
Okay.
And LaVon, this is Jennifer, and I'm just going to be Jennifer for a moment and not only talk you up, but talk up this Women's History Month Luncheon. LaVon is our Community Affairs Manager in the Office of the County Executive. She is the nuts and bolts of many things that champion the lives of women and girls, as well as all of the community. And I'm often moved and touched, LaVon, by your compassionate commitment to Prince George's and its communities, its very diverse communities across the county, and its relationships throughout the region and state. So I want to commend you on being a phenomenal leader and for the wonderful, I remember the first Women's History Month luncheon that I went to many moons ago, and seeing all of this ocean of women from throughout county leadership, elected leadership, as well as business women, as well as community servants, just 1,000 women in this audience. So we had a goal to push the Martin's Cross Winds to fill the room up, LaVon. So talk to me about sponsorship, about how much tickets are to the Women's History Month luncheon, and more about this beautiful, inspiring affair that women can have this year.
Well, thank you, Jennifer. You guys always give me great support and love. The national theme for Women's History Month this year is weaving the stories of women. So we've added the in government to the official theme. So we're celebrating weaving the stories of women in government. And the individual ticket prices or seat prices are $50 per person. And then we have sponsorships available. The sponsorship deadline is February 26th. We have 3 levels of sponsorship. At $1,000, you can be our anniversary sponsor. At $500, history sponsor. And at $150, you can be a service sponsor. Now, it's $50 per person, and we know that our employees have made great sacrifices over the years with different challenges that we've had fiscally. And so if your listeners know a person, a woman in government who's been very supportive of them and they like to sponsor her seat, we are more than happy to take that $50 sponsorship so that a woman in government who may or may be able to afford to purchase that seat will know that someone thinks highly of the service that they've provided. So we're calling around businesses to help us out.
Well, that is absolutely wonderful, Yvonne, and thank you for taking a few minutes to share and remind us about the Women's History Month luncheon. And I want to remind our listeners that they can go to princegeorgescountymd.gov and find out a lot more information. And they can actually go to womenshistory.princegeorgescountymarylandmd.gov to purchase their tickets or to solidify their sponsorship. And we know, as supportive as our listeners and viewers are, that they will do just that. And LaVon, we will have you on again in the next coming weeks leading up to find out more about what's happening with the luncheon and some of the special guests that will be arriving. So thank you very much for sharing with us about what we can expect at the 30th anniversary of the Prince George's.
We'll be there, Holly, right?
Oh, yeah, we'll be there. True 360 will be in the house. So if nothing else, you get to come and not see us at all because we'll be blended in with the other 1,000 women. But it is definitely a luncheon that you should put on your calendar, an event not to be missed. And definitely much kudos to LaVon. Thank you very much, LaVon.
Thank you, LaVon. We love you.
You too. And next up, we got to talk about all the new things. So sadly, we should let people know we've been pushing the Black and Missing, which is to happen this evening, but due to the weather, it has been postponed. So don't go out tonight. Stay home, safe, warm, and dry,
and listen up for when we do the
when we find out what the replacement time is going to be, because Black and Missing, that's a very important event.
Absolutely.
On the horizon, though, we have Male Educator Summer, Empower and Motivated, the men of PGCPS. It's going to be in Oxon Hill High School, February 21st. And you know, as much as we love our men, we love our women, so we got to put our men down too. Absolutely. And so we are very big supporters of this, and we encourage any man that you know and any man who's interested in empowering and educating and motivating our youth to be a part of this very important conference.
We value you men, and we need you. So big shout outs to the organizers of this event. It's just awesome. And we also have new on our calendar. One of our good friends will be moderating in honor of Black History Month. We got Black History Month, and we go right into women. I just gonna be celebrating myself for the next 2 months. I Am Not My Hair, which will be taking place at the Newton White Mansion Thursday, February 26th at 6 p.m. As I mentioned, moderated by one of our good friends, Diane Costy.
Stevens, owner and artistic director of the Cole Stevens Salon here in D.C. as well as in Prince George's, Maryland. And she's going to have some fabulous panelists there. Dr. Cheryl Burgess, who is just like the best dermatologist ever, in addition to some stylist professionals. So please take note and definitely look forward to that in honor of Black History Month. I should also mention that Diane is the founder of the Cinderella Foundation, which is a charity that supports girls in our community and in Africa.
Absolutely, Holly, and I'm excited, and I want our guests to pay attention. Next week, we're going to have our show to feature empowerment and women and wellness, and we will have Diane Cole Stevens, we'll have Kyle Hutchinson from Hutchinson Design that's doing the amazing work and promotion for this quality event, and so many other amazing activities throughout Prince George's County. And we hope to have some of these international hair stars, some of whom are homegrown Washingtonians who are in the area, like Dr. Cheryl Burgess and Shirley Garden. And then we'll have amazing people like Anthony Cole. So this conference, Holly, is amazing because it's being represented by Sebastian, by Wella, by Clairol, and then to have our dear friend Michelle Sadler and Kaya Wright to be there. Kaya Wright is a 2-time Emmy Award-winning celebrity hairstylist, and Clairol top artist. So we're excited that Prince George's County has partnered through the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission for this exceptional event.
Well, it is awesome, and unfortunately, I won't be here next week, so I'll miss my good friends Diane and Michelle and Kaya when they come.
They already told me to give Holly big shout outs, and we don't know what it's going to be, but I'm thinking we got to have you call in.
We got to do something. Got to do
in.
something for my people because I hate that I'm going to miss them.
Absolutely.
And then finally, as we close out, I want to remind you, mark your calendars. The Youth Empowerment Summit is coming. I know we've been talking about it, and we've had the Honorable Ingrid Turner on talking about it, but the Youth Empowerment Summit is coming. It is April 25th, 2015 from 8:30 to 3 p.m. at the Camelot and Martin's Cross. What does that say? Camelot and by Martin's.
Yes.
And in Upper Marlboro. And, you know, we love the kids. We got the Girls and Gigabytes coming up this weekend. In April, we got the Youth Empowerment Summit. So kids and parents alike, mark your calendars. This event is only $10, and you do not want to miss it because it is jammed packed.
That's right.
And I know we're going to have Ingrid on to talk much more about it.
The youth,
but that's
and
the
youth
early
movement.
That's the early wrap up. Well, that's been True 360 for this week, and we'll be back next week with empowerment, economics, and leadership. I am not my hair. Until then, up next, the Renee Allen Show. So stay tuned.
Bye, everybody.